Greetings folks, Fuzzfinger here. Welcome once again to No Kuni II, Revenant Kingdom, and today it's all about those Higgledies. So I have now platinumed the game, and one of the things that I was quite surprised with is that it doesn't actually give us a whole lot of information about many of the systems that it contains. Now, it doesn't really matter if you're just trying to complete the game, because you don't need a lot of this info, but for me, I was curious about it. I wanted to know what it meant for Flapwaggle the Feathery to be outgoing, or for Frabjuice the Fusilier to be carefree, but the game didn't tell me, and so I want to explain some of that today. I want to also explain what a Higgledy hero is, compared to a Higgledy follower, how they work in battle, and how you gain followers when they start to disappear. So hopefully all your Higgledy questions will be answered in this video. If you enjoy watching, don't forget to leave a like, and please be subscribed to the FuzzfingerGaming YouTube channel. Let's get on with the show. So Higgledies are small creatures that are able to join you in battle when playing No Kuni II. And there are three types of Higgledies. The first is perhaps the major type. These are the Higgledy heroes. And the Higgledy heroes are the named Higgledies that you collect in your Higgledy almanac as you play through the game and complete the content. So the first two Higgledy heroes you will get as part of the story. And then there's 30 of them that you will get from Higgledy stones. And then there's a whole bunch that you can craft at the Higgledy place over here in the kingdom, and then there's a few you can get from side quests as well. In particular, there's 4 you can get from side quests, giving you a total, if you collect them all, of 100 Higgledy heroes. Interestingly, you don't have to get all 100 to get the platinum trophy. You only need to get 30 from the Higgledy stones. When it comes to Higgledy heroes, you can assign up to 4 in your active party. As you can see, I have Flapwaggle, Popple, Frabjuice and Gaia currently assigned. Now you'll notice the first thing is the Higgledy cost. At the top of the Higgledy list we have Higgledy cost 7 out of 10. So each Higgledy, as you can see, is assigned a cost. In this case they are assigned 1, 2, 2 and 2. And that determines how many Higgledies or what Higgledy combinations you're going to be able to assign into your party. So Higgledies can have a cost up to, I think it's 4. So if let's say they have a cost of 3, you're only going to be able to assign 3 Higgledies with a cost of 3, and then the final space will have to be used for a Higgledy with a cost of 1, because once you've hit Higgledy cost of 10, you cannot assign any other Higgledies. But I've got a good team going here, and I haven't actually had to worry about the cost, as you can see, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So what about these other numbers? Well, when it comes to followers, we'll talk about that a little bit later, because that's talking about a different kind of Higgledy, rather than the hero. But we have this other aspect. First of all, we have the name of the Higgledy, and then underneath we have this kind of trait. For example, you can see Flapwaggle the Feathery has this trait called Outgoing. Popple the Pure has Careful, and Frabjuice and Gaia have Carefree. Well, the game doesn't actually do a good job at all of explaining this to you. In fact, it doesn't even attempt to do so. Okay, so there's actually 5 of these traits in total, and I've just put the controller over Runtable the Righteous here, and we'll just go down the list. So, Shy is the first trait that you're going to come across, because that's what Runtable has. And what these traits basically determine is how these Higgledies are going to behave in battle. For example, Shy here will mean that Runtable will prioritise healing party members as opposed to attacking enemies. And in particular, he's going to want to heal party members that fall below 80% health. Now, he will also attack enemies as well, but only when they go to low health. So any Higgledy that has Shy is going to prioritise healing. Humdrum, for example, has Carefree. And what Carefree does, and don't confuse this with Careful, they are 2 different traits. But Carefree is going to prioritise attacking enemies. Okay, but he's not going to attack any enemy, he's only going to attack enemies with low health. If you don't have any enemies at low health, he's not going to be attacking. But he can also heal as well. Party members that have less than 30% health, he will heal. But for the start of fights and stuff, when both enemies and party members are at full health, Humdrum or any Higgledy with the Carefree trait isn't going to be doing a whole lot, but they will be quite aggressive once the fight goes on. Fidget has the example trait that we're going to be giving here of Outgoing, and Outgoing prioritises attacking enemies, but it will attack enemies, I love his little hat there, with the highest health, okay? So whereas Hundrum will attack enemies at low health, Fidget will want to attack enemies at high health. And he won't bother really healing party members unless they get to very low health as well. Higgledy, which has the 4th of the 5 traits that are available to our Higgledies, has the Careful trait. He cannot attack. If a Higgledy has the careful trait, they will not do any damage to the enemy. So you see his attack rating of 86 there, pointless. Doesn't mean anything, it will never be used. Instead, he will prioritise healing party members. And if you want a good healer, a Higgledy with the Careful trait is really the way to go. Okay, and then finally we have the Cowardly trait. For example, Unkimon the Uncommon here has the Cowardly trait. And Unkimon, or anybody with the Cowardly trait, will also prioritise healing party members, but they won't heal unless the party member falls below 50% health. And then they will only attack enemies if they can get to a long range, far away from the enemy, and the enemy is at very low health. So Cowardly is probably the worst trait in my opinion. The Higgledy just won't do a whole lot of either attacking or healing. But as you can see, I don't have any Cowardly traits in my active team. Next up then, worth noting, is the element of the Higgledy. So the element of the Higgledy is going to determine several things. First of all, it's going to determine how much damage they can do against a specific enemy type. For example, if an enemy is weak to fire, then a fire Higgledy is not going to do a whole lot of hurt to that particular enemy. On the other hand, if they're weak to fire, then that Higgledy is going to do a lot of damage. And second of all, the element determines how you can power up certain spells, which I'll talk about a little bit later on in the video, because the game doesn't really explain that to you much either. It's got like one line of text, I think, which isn't really a lot to go on. So the different Higgledy elements, the game does organise them in the list quite nicely. The first set here, which don't actually have an element associated with them technically, are just physical Higgledies. Okay, they do physical damage. And then the green Higgledies, which is the next set in the list, these have the wind element associated with them. Okay, and you can see the little icon under their level that shows the element they're associated with. The red ones, unsurprisingly, have the fire element. The blue ones have the water element. The yellow ones have the light element. And the purple ones here have the dark element. Okay, so that's the different elements that the Higgledies will have. So physical, fire, light, water, wind and dark. Okay, so now we have the abilities that I want to talk about for a moment. I'm not going to go through every Higgledy ability in the game because that would take too long. And there's no real need to. If you press triangle on Higgledy, it will go through each of its abilities, explaining what it does. It doesn't unfortunately give you the numbers, which would have been nice. For example, they're there for Runtable the Righteous. It says it restores a small amount of health to an ally. It doesn't tell you that the amount is 15%. Okay, that would be nice to know. But apart from that, it's fairly intuitive of what the abilities each do. So, let's just talk about the categories of abilities, because each Higgledy in this list will have 4 abilities, each one in a particular category. So the first ability, in this case Scrap Scrap, is going to be the Higgledy's passive ability. So being a passive ability, it's available all throughout the fight, you don't have to do anything, the Higgledy always has it active. Right, so next up is the active ability. So this is always the second ability on the abilities list of the Higgledy. In this case it's there. And this ability is not anything the player has to do to get it to work. The Higgledy will use it as long as it's within their trait. For example, Runtable the Righteous is shy, so as long as his trait is in effect, then there will be cast by him. And that's an active ability, which means it's not always, happening, but the Higgledy has to actually do something for that to go off. Then we have the third active ability on the Higgledy list. So not active, but it is active, but this is player active. So every Higgledy, their third ability is one that the player has to activate in order for it to be used. So this is where your Higgledy leader, hero, glows on the battlefield, and you have to go up to it and activate it in order to get this ability to work. And then finally, we have the Awakened ability. So every Higgledy has an Awakened ability, and this is where the Higgledy will do something special when you collect a golden ball. So when Lofty throws a golden ball in battle, you can click it, or run into it rather, and you will become awakened with the character you're controlling, and you'll be able to cast all of your spells without MP, etc, etc, but also all of your Higgledies awakened abilities will also kick off into effect. Again, you don't need to do anything for these to work, apart from getting the golden ball. The Higgledy will then cast them automatically, so these are passive abilities for each time you are awakened, and these abilities will last throughout the whole course of your being awakened. Okay, so when the gold bar runs out, that's when these abilities will run out again. Just to clarify that then, every single Higgledy will have 4 abilities. Each one will be one of those types. So the first ability will always be the passive ability. The second ability, in this case Flimsy Flimsy, is the Higgledy active ability. The third ability, in this case Higgledy Heart, will be the player active ability, so you have to activate that for it to work. And then the fourth ability is the awakened ability. Okay, fairly simple, let's move on. The final thing of note with Higgledy Heroes is that you can level them up to power them up at the Higgledy. So just visit it in your kingdom, go to Nurture Higgledies, and choose any of the Higgledy Heroes you want to level up. Select them, and then you can feed them food, and the food will give them experience until you level them up to the maximum of level 10. Now, each Higgledy hero will have their own preferred food, but as long as it's got a heart next to it, as you can see all of these in the list do, then it won't take you long to just collect that ingredient or any of those ingredients enough to level it up to max. So let's go ahead, and as you start to select how many ingredients you want to give it, you can see how many levels it's going to gain. In this case, I only need to give this one 3 clumps of Woebegone cotton in order to level it from level 1 to max. And all its stats have increased because we've done that. Okay, so you don't need to level your Higgledies unless you're going to use them. There's no trophy or achievement tied to it. Unless, of course, you figure that you need to do that for 100% completion. I'll leave that up to you. Let's move on. So let's have a look at the team I've got set up, which is working really well as a common generic team, and I pretty much never change it because it just literally slaughters all of the enemies that I go up against, even some of the hardest bosses. It's such a great Higgledy team. And it's Flapwaggle the Feathery, Popple the Pure, Frabjuice the Fusilier, and Gaia the Flyer. Okay, so the only one that actually comes from a Higgledy Stone out of those 4 is Popple the Pure, and you can get him from the Jumble Woods. Okay, and if you just take a Slumbergull Feather and give that to the Higgledy Stone, then Popple the Pure will be coughed up. The other 3, Flapwaggle, Frabjuice, and Gaia, can all just be created or crafted, whatever you want to call it, at the Higgledy over in the Kingdom. So just have a look at the ingredients you need for those. It shouldn't be too hard. But the reason why this is a great team is because the Higgledy Sirah ability summons a knight to fight for you. And it's a really powerful knight. It lasts for 30 seconds and does a ton of damage. So what we're doing is having Popple and Frabjuice both cast knights, okay? And it is a player active ability. So once you see them flash, they're the white ones. Make sure you go and activate their abilities to summon the knights. And then Flapwaggle and Gaia have the Me Too passive ability. Okay, and that's going to give them a chance of summoning the knight once another Higgledy has summoned it from the active ability. So you can potentially have up to 4 absolutely OP knights just destroying everything that moves on the battlefield. Everything that you want to destroy anyway. So it's a great team to use, and it's easy to fit within the cost as well. So that's Flapwaggle, Popple, Frabjuice, and Gaia. The second type of Higgledy is the Higgledy Follower, and basically these are smaller Higgledies that will follow the Higgledy heroes around. Now, you don't have anything to do with controlling the Higgledy followers. They will do what they want to do. But obviously the more you have of them, then the more damage they're going to output, because quite frankly there's more of them. And the way you get more Higgledy followers to follow your heroes is by getting the Higgledy balls that are dropped throughout the battle. So just go around and collect the Higgledy balls. They're the blue balls that sometimes appear, and each time you get one you restore a Higgledy follower that was lost. When you first create a Higgledy, by the way, it's not going to have any Higgledy followers until you enter a battle and get the blue balls in order to top up the supply. Now, Higgledy followers will share the same elements as the Higgledy that they're following of the hero. So this is going to be really important when it comes to powering up your spells, because a lot of the spells in this game can be powered up depending on the Higgledy followers that you have available in battle. And I'm going to try and show you an example of this in action. Hopefully I'll get it working. So as you can see here, Tani has this ability called Spark Spike. And once we've powered it up at the spell works in the kingdom, we can also notice that there's these passive effects on it, Shock Spike and Lightning Spike, but these will only come in effect if you look at the bottom where the spell information is, with certain numbers of Higgledy followers. In particular, for this spell, it's the wind element Higgledy type, and it will be a different element type depending on the spell. So for Shock Spike to come into effect, which has a power of 90, we will need to absorb 4 Higgledy followers with the wind element. And for Lightning Spike, which is the most powerful with a power of 120, we'll need to absorb a whopping 8 wind follower Higgledies. Okay, so that's pretty much what the spells are about. I'm going to try and demonstrate this to you. Right, so I've got control of Tani here, and we've got that ability, that spell assigned to the circle key on the PlayStation 4 controller. So what I'm going to do now to demonstrate this is we're going to find the wind element Higgledy followers. We can see they've all spawned in the centre of the arena here. We approach them and we hold that spell button down. So we're going to hold circle down, and that's going to absorb all those Higgledy followers you saw them go into Tani. And you'll know when you've done it right because you'll get a little Higgledy face appear on the icon for the spell. See? I'll do it again. Once you've got that Higgledy face on the spell, you know you've absorbed the Higgledies. And then when you unleash that spell, you're going to unleash the higher variant of it, depending on how many Higgledies of the correct element you absorbed. So there we have Higgledy followers and Higgledy heroes. Hopefully this information's been helpful to you. Let's look at the final type now. The third and final Higgledy type is known as the High Maker, and these will only appear in battles against other Kingmakers. So what they're going to do is, they are special types of Higgledies that will only appear and be unique in a particular Kingsmaker fight, and you have to free them first of all on the battlefield. They will come in a certain element, such as water or fire, that's put on the battlefield, and once you break the thing that's containing them, you'll be able to start freeing them. And once you've freed enough, they'll all gather together and will allow you to cast a special ability, which you have to activate. But once you do that, that ability is going to help you greatly on that particular Kingsmaker battle. So for example, it might give you a special type of damage. In this case, for example, as you can see, a gun that's going to allow us to break a shield of the Kingmaker so that we can carry on with the battle as normal. Or it might provide you with some form of protection, but the point is that it's unique to that particular battle and will not appear anywhere else in the game. So just when you're battling a Kingmaker, keep an eye on the High Makers and make sure you free them and activate their abilities whenever you are able to do so. But that's pretty much it for today then, folks. We've looked at all of the different Higgledy types, how their abilities work and how they synergise with the player abilities as well. Hopefully this video has been a help to you. If it has, please don't forget to leave a like and be subscribed to the FuzzfingerGaming YouTube channel. And let me know what you think of Higgledies as well in the comments section. Are they a good addition to No Kuni II, or do you find them a little bit annoying? Personally, I think that they're a lot of fun to use, and I certainly enjoy getting the nights out to smash a few faces. But I am interested in hearing your thoughts, so please do share those. But I'll see you next time, guys. Take care.